desire can be the deadliest weapon, in our case, in Catherine's hands. So from the start, she sets the tone, and intimacy is her weapon, her strong seduction weapon. And men are only guests in her game through mastery, making someone believe they are hunting when in fact they are the prey. Welcome guys to a special YouTube episode where I will uncover spy techniques in movies. And the first movie we'll discuss is one of my favorite, which is Basic Instinct with Sharon Stone. Legendary Sharon Stone, where she actually, in my opinion, could be one of the top seduction spy, because she used all the techniques to seduce the main character, Nick, who was a policeman in this movie. She seduced him so professionally, so cool, so also effective and strong that I would like to go through these spy techniques which she used and explain you how these techniques could work in a daily life. Because if you've seen this movie, and I do believe you, of course you do, everyone did, you remember that Catherine Tramell was sort of like a psychotic woman with a very difficult past. First of all, she had really bad childhood. Who knows, maybe she was, insulted or harassed or abused by her parents or whoever, because eventually she said that she didn't prove it, but she mentioned that her parents died and she wanted to see if she would be caught with this crime. So she has this crazy mentality where she wants to prove the world and sort of validate herself that if she is smarter than anyone else, if she is more clever than anyone else. And we see Nick, who is a perfect victim for such a manipulative woman. And we see in the beginning of the opening scene, you will see that Nick in this position where he is still a small boy and he has these parents from his boss and the therapist working in the department, where they have to remind him about his meetings, where he's not responsible enough to, and also independent enough to take responsibility for these meetings or for his life or whatever. So we see that he is still in the position of being a little boy, needing someone to take care and control him. We see that he was recently, drug and alcohol addicted, and for 3 months he stopped alcohol and drugs, cocaine in that case. And he's kind of like trying to be good policeman, because just before that, accidentally he killed 2 tourists. And again, in the beginning of the movie, we see his personality, which, to be honest, I wish no one would ever face this sort of policeman. So let's begin to speak about those seductive, manipulative, psychological techniques which Sharon Stone in her character Catherine used on Nick. Let's talk about that, and perhaps it will help you also to understand the manipulative mindset. If you may face with manipulator or abuser, and you may see that it's very similar techniques which they use, this is important video for you to watch to prevent this manipulation on you in your life. All right, so let's begin. And I have to say, like, Basic Instinct is one of my favorite movies. I watched it many times, and I just want you to also see this movie from another angle. Because when you watch the very first scene of Basic Instinct, you already understand the whole entire dynamic of Catherine Tramell. And man thinks that they are in control, but in fact, she is the one who is the leader. She is the one who will make decision. And in her case, she already made a decision to destroy them in the future. So the opening scene tells us that desire can be the deadliest weapon, in our case, in Catherine's hands. So from the start, she sets the tone. And intimacy is her weapon, her strong seduction weapon. And men are only guests in her game. And she set this game, she set all these rules for herself, and everybody have to follow these rules. So what does she use as, I would say, as a former spy? I will tell you what kind of technique that she used. So she used her eyes a lot. So it's an eye contact technique. Because Catherine doesn't need to raise her voice or wave her hands. She uses her eyes like a weapon. She holds it longer than the most people can stand. And in those extra seconds, the other person breaks first. So this is very manipulative technique. When you can look into someone's eyes for longer time than it's actually like it's, expected. So the person in front of you feels like uncomfortable, and that's how you push someone to have this uncomfortable position, this uncomfortable state, because when you're uncomfortable, most likely you will tell more, you will do mistakes, and that's what she wants. So Catherine, in this case, she wants men around her to feel uncomfortable, because in this case she can manipulate them better. And that's exactly how she programmed them. And that's exactly how manipulators program someone, by making them feel exposed or powerless at the same time. All right, so let's get into one of the most sexy scenes, which actually in the history of the movies was the most popular and the most top scene. It's when Catherine was in interrogation room, right? So, and don't forget, so this scene when Nick and his partner, they came to her house, right, to pick her up, to bring to the interrogation room in the department. So she didn't tell them, okay guys, just give me a few minutes, I'll get dressed and I'll come to you and we'll drive, right? She said to them, come in, so come to my house, where she purposely put already a newspaper, knowing that they will come to pick her up for the interrogation room. She already placed a newspaper where it was the article about Nick when he accidentally killed tourists as a policeman. So she already placed the newspaper there. And obviously Nick saw it, and she knew that most likely Nick will see her changing her clothes. So Nick will see her being naked. Like just, oh, accidentally, I'm changing my clothes, sorry. But what she did while she was changing in another room, she didn't go in like upstairs or downstairs or like in the toilet and close the... No, she wanted her to be seen. She wanted to arouse Nick's desire towards her sexuality. She did it on purpose. So that's what I'm saying. She used her sexiness to block the logical mindset of Nick in this case, because he was the detective, he was the main guy in this case, right? So, and then also very important thing, while she was changing the clothes and she was naked, she asked a question like, how long will we be there in this department? For how long? So I mean, like, who cares for how long, right? You're just changing the clothes. But yet she wanted to get their attention, so they will turn their heads and they would see her in the mirror, her body, her naked body in the mirror, and become like aroused. So obviously on the way in the car when they were driving to the department, she already brought this kind of seed in their mind, in this man's mind, that she's sexy and how they want her, physically. And as you remember, Nick was sober for 3 months. He even gave up smoking. And yet she asked him in the car, "Do you have cigarettes, Nick?" And he's like, "I'm not smoking." But yet she did offer him cigarettes in the car. And he's like, "I thought you didn't have cigarettes." And like, "Oh, I found it in my pocket." So seduction, you see, she was tempting him in purpose. She knew that it's for him, because he's so kind of like irresponsible person. For him, it would be so difficult to say no. And she pushed that button. So then they come to interrogation room. So this is the most sexy scene, where what happened. The way beautiful, amazing Sharon Stone presented herself, what was her posture and everything. It was the most strongest, the most sexiest scene. And she felt very comfortable. She was surrounded by all these men, all these cops, authority figures, yet she is the one in control. Why? Because her body language says, "You can't intimidate me. I'm smarter." Her legs were crossed. She was leaning back. She was utterly kind of relaxed. She gave this relaxed vibe. And she flips the script. They are nervous and she's very calm and she feels so sexy. And control is non-verbal. The point is that when you show yourself that you are in a relaxed mode and you're having a conversation or you've been interrogated, the most important is your sort of inner peace inside of you, where you control yourself, you control your emotions. So in this case, she was controlling her emotions. So that's why this man felt so uncomfortable and she wasn't in control, in the power. Besides, when she changed her legs and this man could see her body without underwear, to be precise, that actually was the most stoppable scene in the history of the movies. But she did it on purpose to push this man even into more uncomfortable situation, where she knew that she could play their mind, she could manipulate them, and she could tell anything she want, and they would let her go. Also, very important thing here, her wardrobe. And her wardrobe also is her strategy, because every outfit she wears is calculated. So in this interrogation scene, she wore this white dress, white skirt, clean lines, and white is the color if you want to kind of give this affection as untouchable, sort of angelic, very pure. So that's exactly why she chose this look. But purity is a mask. Clothing becomes part of her psychological trap. It is a trap. She seduces not with exposure, but with the illusion of innocence. It's just illusion which she created. And as a writer, as a fashion writer for the Times magazine, I write about how to dress like a spy, how to use colors, how to use patterns and silhouettes in your look to influence someone's opinion about you. That's exactly what she did. She seduced this man, this corpse, with her look, but it was just illusion for the innocence. And then we go into a flipping conversation they had. Her dialogue, right? Her lines. So when somebody challenges her, she doesn't answer directly. She throws a question back or a very provocative statement. Usually that statement was with the men she used to F, she used to have intercourses, and it was very direct, provocative statements. Of course, it unsettled these cops, these people. So that's a classic manipulation. Never let your opponent lead the rhythm of the conversation. So that's exactly what she did. Then, she never fully reveals what does she want. Did she kill? Did she not? There is like a mystery about her. That actually keeps men obsessed. So it's not about like what she really did. It's about the strongest seduction tool when people don't know who you are, what did you do, you're such a mystery to them, and they want to do research, they want to get to know you more, they want to invest the energy and efforts and time to try to figure you out. And as more they invest the energy and time and effort, as more they are they're getting involved into your life. As I told you many times, guys, seduction is not about just your look or your presence or whatever. It's about how can you make people to be obsessed about you, because our brain works this way. As more we think about particular like someone, like particular person, as more we fall in love into this person. Okay, so then her silence, as I mentioned in the previous video, pauses in the conversation is a very powerful seduction tool. So silence is her secret weapon, so her secret partner. She pauses just long enough to make the other person to feel uncomfortable. In that pause, they reveal more than she does. So silence is never empty. It's a psychological pressure. It's a psychological tool to make someone to be uncomfortable. So in this case, you can manipulate this person's emotional states. Also, Catherine Tramell knows how to pull her partners from desire to fear in a second. And this is a huge roller coaster, because this particular technique creates addiction. If you can control someone's emotional highs and lows, you control their loyalty, you control them. So vulnerability as a control, which you can also use, and that's what she used before, like you will see like in the next scene. She uses her vulnerability. She's like, she asks Nick to protect her, to believe her, because she had such a difficult childhood. She didn't have friends. She was so lonely and all this. And he's like her knight. He needs to come and save her and help her out. So if you remember, in the end of the movie, she used the therapist, this lady who was in love with Nick. She used her. And she basically set everything up, but she made her as the villain in the eyes of Nick. So when she was vulnerable and she would say like, oh, I'm not like that, it's all her, she's the villain, I'm good, I'm a little vulnerable girl. That's exactly what he believed, because how wouldn't he? He already so much in love. He's he's so lost in this intercourses and physical activities with Catherine. So of course he believed her. So that's how another manipulative tool she did use is her vulnerability. And there is a scene where she appears also very fragile, but that's part of the whole plan. She showed her weakness as a sort of like as a tool to disarm a man. He wants to protect her, he wants to take care about her, and the moment he feels protective, she feels protective, she owns him. Okay, Also, another tool she used is the storytelling, because her storytelling is hypnotic. And of course, in the movie, she was a writer, so she's a good storyteller. So every time she talks about her books or her characters, she plants psychological images in people's minds. Stories bypass logic and go straight to emotion. That's why they work as triggers. So, for example, we just discussed the scene where she was in the car with Nick and his partner, and they were going to the interrogation room, right? And Nick asked her, "What are you working on right now, Catherine? Like, what's your next book?" And she already studied him before, right? She was like she did research about him. She read like magazine and newspaper articles about him. She realized who is he. And she gives her answer where she's like, "Oh, my next book is about this, cop who fell in love into a villain." You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like she knew already that he is so egocentric and so self-obsessed that when she said, "Oh, my book is about this cop who fell in love into the villain," obviously Nick would think about himself, "Oh, I'm so meaningful, I'm so valuable that she writes the book about me." Okay, so that's again, this is a manipulative tool. This is sort of like a game which she creates for Nick. Then another psychological seduction thing and tool. So Catherine's seduction isn't just physical. Not just that, even though like she's very beautiful, she's very charming and sexy woman, but it's also psychological dominance. She doesn't need to touch Nick in that case to control him. She programs his thoughts, his fantasies, his fears, and that's far more powerful than a kiss or even an intercourse. So it's important to understand that seduction is not just about like our look. It's much, much deeper. Also, Catherine Tramell constantly pushes boundaries, sexual, emotional, moral. Why? Because she is reading where someone's line is, like where's his boundaries, if she can push the boundaries. Once she knows their weakness, she owns them up of their mind. So it's kind of like cat and mouse tactics. So the whole film is a one long cat and mouse game. But here's the thing, and here's the important twist. The mouse thinks it's the cat, but it's all opposite. So men chase her, but she has already decided their ending and what she will do with them. And that's the true mastery, making someone believe they are hunting when in fact they are the prey. Okay, so another important emotional addiction which she created is, despite the danger, her lovers, in that case Nick, was keep coming back. Why? Because she ties pleasure with risk. Okay, this is very important seduction technique. This is very addictive. Once your brain connects love with adrenaline, you cannot walk away. It's like the biggest drug ever, because you kind of like on this hook. And the most powerful scenes are where sexuality and danger are fused, sex as both pleasure and death. And that's her art. That's the art of Catherine Tramell, making men desire what could also destroy them. This is sort of like the most desirable kind of thing, to want someone, but also it can kill them. And I would say probably that's why sex espionage agents are so dangerously seductive and alluring and sexy, because men want this kind of women, even though they know that these women can actually kill them or cause their death. And the paradox is what makes Catherine Tramell unforgettable. So what do we learn from Basic Instinct movie? That the most important seduction at the highest level is not about beauty, look, or just sex. It's about psychology, power, and the ability to make someone feel addicted to the very thing that might ruin them. It's manipulative, I totally understand, and that's why we kind of like gave analysis of this movie. We uncovered all these techniques which Catherine Tramell used in this movie, so you can learn it and you can prevent these manipulation techniques with somebody else trying to do it on you in your life. And I hope you did like it, because like this is one of my favorite movies. I'm a movie lover, especially when it's about strong, badass females like Catherine Tramell. I cannot say that like I adore her, but I really do adore Sharon Stone. I just saw her recently at the movie premiere Nobody 2, and she looks absolutely stunning and amazing. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And please drop the comment if you like me to do some analysis of the movies which you like. And I will record this video with all the explanations on all the spy seduction techniques which are used in the movies you like, okay? So drop the comment below which movies are your favorites, and I will record this for you. All right, so stay healthy, stay positive, stay cool, and I'll see you in the next videos.